Hi everyone. Welcome back to Lisa's Love and Light. How are you guys doing this Tuesday afternoon or Tuesday evening? I hope all is well with you guys. Thank you for showing up and being here today. And thank you for supporting this channel. I really appreciate this so much, guys. Thank you for your comments. I see that there are more comments in the comment category, and I've been responding to them. So thank you for that. And thank you for showing up and subscribing to the channel. Continue to do that and share these videos with other people that you know need to hear these messages. It's so important for us to keep this going, guys, so that people can get uplifted, encouraged. So thank you again for being here. Today, we're going to talk about healing. But like I said, every day the topic may be a little different, but it always ties into healing and growth. So bear with me a moment. Before we get into this topic, I want to let you guys know that tomorrow I'm going to be here, but it may be a little later than usual because I have some things to take care of tomorrow. So it might be a little bit later than what I'm on now. So just wanted to get that out of the way, but I will be here tomorrow, God's willing. So the next thing I want to tell you guys is remember that I'm not a therapist, social worker, or a counselor. I'm someone who's gone through so much, guys, and I talk about ways that I have been persevering and how I eventually became an overcomer of these trials, tribulations, and challenges. So I want to help you to do the same thing, because some people might be going through trials, tribulations, all types of problems and challenges, and they may not know how to get through it. They may feel overwhelmed, like the walls are closing in. And so I talk about my own personal experiences so that I can share them here, and perhaps people who show up who might be going through these same circumstances can apply these things within those circumstances and see if it works for your life. I know it's worked for me. So with that being said, guys, let's get into this topic of discussion today. And the topic is the power of God to help you to heal. I talk about a lot of ways that I've healed these things, but without God, it's impossible, because I would have never, ever been able to heal without the help of God. And I want to talk a little bit about that today. So I was watching the story of King David. King David was really favored by God. And I watched this story. I actually purchased the movie for that because I was so impressed behind it. It really caught my attention. After watching that movie, and just thinking about the story, I started to put the pieces of the puzzle together. God is not the way people think he should. God does not think and operate in the same manner that we do. Like, for example, when people are looking at people and, they look at them differently than the way God looks at us. He looks at our heart and intentions. David was not who the people expected God to choose to slay Goliath. If they had the choice to do so, they would have never chose David. David was this, back in the day, being a shepherd boy was considered one of the lowliest job there was. And David was a shepherd boy. I believe he was the youngest of his father's sons. And he was overlooked, and wasn't thought about, was dismissed, And, the story zoomed in on that and showed a lot about that and how David was just overlooked. And when he stood up and said that I'm going to slay Goliath, they laughed at him. His brothers, sit down, kind of thing. What are you talking about? Because if you looked at him in a movie, he looked like this puny, skinny kid who was just a nobody. Nobody. And what are you talking about? You're going to slay Goliath. He did not look and act in a manner that they thought he should. But see, God knew. God knew. You see, God will take the broken, guys, the forgotten, and he will take people like that and take them from the dirt and the ashes and bring them to a place of greatness. He looks at our hearts and intentions to see if it's pure. I have some notes here because I want to cover all the points I want to get across. He looks at our hearts and intentions to see if it's pure or unpure. And he saw that David had a pure heart and was good natured. And David loved and trusted him. In the beginning so he chose David to slay Goliath. And after David showed the courage and did this, he was exalted to King David. In the beginning of my healing journey, my faith in God was weak. I was going through so much trials and tribulations. It's like you line up a bunch of dominoes and you push one down and the whole stack falls. That's how my life felt in 2020. Problem after problem, situation, circumstances, back to back to back. And it felt like those walls were closing in. And instead of praying to God in the beginning, I'm going to be honest with you guys, I was screaming at God, cursing, using all types of profanity, saying this, saying that, because I didn't know what was going on. But let me tell you something about that. I'm grateful that God forgave me for that, because I did not know what was going on, and it was overbearing. So if anyone is feeling like that, I know what that feels like, because I've gone through that. Trust God is what I'm going to say about that. But sometimes, guys, we have to be broken down to be built up again. It's like a metaphor of a house that's not built on solid foundation. That house, get a crack in it, it's going to fall to pieces. So sometimes we have to be broken way down so our foundation, which is ourself, to be built up again. Painful but necessary, because I went through that, a few years of that. And what I noticed and what I had to see, that I had to remove the snakes and the leeches out of my life that was clinging to me, because I was too subservient, neglecting my own needs and wants to help other people. You see, I'm a Virgo and I like to help and to learn and to help other people. But sometimes you can't help people who are snakes in your life, leeches, doormats, because they're clinging to you so that they can take from you. Not for them to learn, grow, heal, and evolve, but to take. And I had a whole lot of that around me for a very long time. And I had to be sat down. I had to learn that this wasn't good for who I was. It took all my strength within me to heal my pain. Because some of these folks didn't want to leave. They wanted to continue for me to be subservient so that they can take. And I was given and given and overgiven. And these people were used to that. And I had to be sat down so that I can see the bigger picture, to see what's really going on, in order for me to heal, grow, and evolve. And I had to learn to let go of everything toxic in my life that no longer served me. Those things wasn't serving me. It was just depleting me, and I didn't know how to deal with it, because, you want to have people in your life, and I had an issue with abandonment, and I had to heal that as well, because these people were not good for my life, and what they were doing was not for my highest good. So I had to let it all go. And some of these folks wanted to hang on, leech on. And that's when I had to go into prayer, meditation, and perseverance helped me to continue to move forward. Even if those walls looked like they were closing in like this, I kept going. But prayer, meditation. Sometimes I sat 2-3 days in prayer, fasting, talking to God as I started to see the bigger picture, as I was broken all the way down to the ground, and I started to see things from a different perspective. And as I start to build up that foundation again, I start to trust God, stay in prayer, apologize for my actions, to change things around. We can't change folks. We can't change the snakes, the leeches, and the people who are deceptive, but we can change our mindset and how we look at it and how we react to those things. Set strong boundaries. And when people want to step, hop, and jump over those boundaries, what I do is cut off, block, and delete. And ignore the phone calls. Ignore people trying to get in touch with you, people who are no longer good for my life, when I knew the reason why they were there. They wanted to leech. They want to continue to do this. And I had to cut off, block, and delete so that I can go to a place of taking care of myself to heal, grow, and evolve. So prayer, meditation, and perseverance. As I always talk about, the key factor is persevering. No matter what it looks like in a natural, you have to sometimes walk by faith and ask God to help you. Because like I said, this is not a one-man show. I had to continue to bite, crawl, and persevere through these challenges. And it wasn't easy, but I know that God was holding me up, because every step that I took, God was taking 2 and 3, and he was showing me. He was showing me, guys, that he was taking these steps on my behalf. So I continued to move forward, not knowing what was going to happen, how it was going to play out, but I continued to move forward. One day at a time, one step at a time. So my point is to never give up on yourself. Even if it looked like things around you are falling apart, stay in prayer, continue to persevere. Because if you give up on you, then what do you have left? If you give up on you, how do you expect to continue to heal, grow, and evolve? If I would have gave up, I probably wouldn't be here right now, guys. And it wasn't easy. It was very painful. I had to address that elephant in the room that was getting bigger and bigger and bigger by the moment. And I didn't want to see that because it was painful, but I had to look at that pain, because people only do what we allow them to do. So if we allow people to take from us, to use us, to abuse us, to continue to, ride our coattails, they will continue to do so with grace. They don't care about that. They will continue to take and do these things. People only do what we allow them to do. And I had to learn that if I lost them, what am I losing? They were not bringing anything to my table. I was being an overgiver, while neglecting my own needs and my own things that I needed to do for me. And so I had to bite, crawl, persevere, and continue to move forward. Stay in prayer, asking God to help me, because I slipped many a times. But I got right back up, dust myself off with the help of God, and continue to move forward. And sometimes, and when I use that story about David, you see, God will help people. He will use people to help other people who don't look the way we think they should look. God will take somebody who may be out of the ordinary, somebody who is different from other people, may behave different, may act different, not necessarily in a negative way, but just different from the crowd. He would take that person, help that person, and then not just bless them, but allow that person to be a blessing to somebody else, like King David was. Excuse me, guys. Like King David was. When people looked at him, what? He's going to do what? Because they're looking at the outer appearance, but they don't see the heart. They don't see why God used certain people to do certain things, certain tasks, certain responsibilities. And that's how God works. He will take the broken, the broken down, busted, and disgusted. And he will bring them, let them fall to the ground so that they can be built up again and go through the process to heal, grow, and evolve. And then let them use their own experience so that they can help somebody else. And you know why, guys? Because that person have been through hell, been to hell and back. They've been through most things that one person doesn't go through. And if they persevere and continue to move forward and was able to grow, heal, and evolve from those extreme painful circumstances and situations, then they can help other people to do the same. And that's how God, work it. He doesn't take people who we think should be doing A, B, C, and D because he doesn't think like man. He doesn't think like we do. He looks at the heart, the intentions, and the circumstances of it all. And when he helps you to build yourself up, then you're in a position to help somebody else because you went through the most and the worst. And you can tell people how you became an overcomer. One day at a time, one step at a time. And I'm saying all of this, guys, that if I can do this with no physical support system where somebody was cheering me on and say, yeah, go girl, and you got this. I had none of that. I had prayer, God, and my pain and just persevering. I knew I had to keep going because if I stopped, that would be it. So guys, never stop. It doesn't matter what the crowd and other people might be saying. Continue to move forward. And ask God to help you. You're going to have days where you just don't feel like getting out of bed to do anything. It's going to be hard because you're facing that pain that you may perhaps have been ignoring. Like I told you guys a few videos back, that how I grew up when trauma and trials and situations took place, I was told what happens in this house stays in this house. But guys, if what happens in this house stays in this house, how can you grow, heal, and evolve? All those things will stay stuck and stagnated within you. There is no growth with stagnation. This is why I also had to learn how to heal. Not just heal, but to forgive the folks who caused the pain. And that was extremely difficult. But what I learned as I looked at things from a different mindset, that the forgiveness is not for them, it's for me, so that I can let go and let God and go heal, grow, and evolve and live my life to the fullest. You win when you take back your power, guys, and not allow people to continue to do these toxic things to you. When you take back your power and you go into a space to heal, grow, and evolve, then you win. You win because that person no longer has the power over you. People only do, as I state, what you allow them to do. And they will continue to do it if you allow it. Never give up on yourself and your growth. That's why I always talk about the healing process. It's important to heal your pain. It's important to take care of your physical and mental health on a daily basis. And one way that I do that is a time to myself. So make sure you guys are taking time out for yourself, whether it's 2 hours a day, to do things that uplift your spirit in a world of toxicity that seems to be the norm today. Surround yourself with people who really love you and care about you, who want to see you win. And those who will uplift you and encourage you instead of the toxic ones. Set strong boundaries with folks like this because you don't have to deal with the abuse and the negativity. You do matter. Self-love, self-care leads to inner peace. Because the inner peace I have today, I'm unbothered by the gossip, the noise, etc. I put those burdens and I give those burdens to God. And never allow yourself to carry other people's burdens. You are a priority. You should be a priority always when it comes to your mental and physical health. Because if you don't take care of you, how can you take care of anything else outside of you? So that is so important. It's not being in love with yourself, but loving yourself enough to know that you need to take care of your mental, physical health so that you can continue to grow, heal, and evolve. That is so important, guys. And as you continue to do so, you will see the positive results. It's not going to happen overnight, but one day at a time, one step at a time. Keep going. That is the key factor. Remember, it's always important to get to a place of peace instead of broken down into pieces. That's the message today, guys. Continue to move forward and take care of yourself on a daily basis. You know, if you have a day that you feel yourself slacking, get up the next day and keep moving. The key factor is to keep going. Thank you for being here today, guys. I will be here tomorrow. Like I said, it may be a little later, but subscribe to the channel so that you know when I'm here and you can be on. And continue to share these videos with others and send me some comments to let me know how you guys are doing. And go and enjoy your day, guys, and I'll see you again tomorrow. This is Lisa, shedding love and light always to you all. Thank you all, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Bye for now.